Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. I am your host, DBJ, and I'm sorry about yesterday. Couldn't do it. I still have a little bit of flu-like symptoms, so I apologize for that. And this show's not going to go on for well over an hour. I'm not going to take up too much of your time, simply because to alleviate you guys from the the this the sounds and sensations coming out of my throat box. Sorry about that, guys. I I'm not sure. Well, I got a flu shot, and I'm not sure if the flu shot hyper actuated my flu response, or I picked it up from someone. Anyway, it was pretty horrible. You wouldn't want to. It would just be me blowing my nose and stuff, which was what I had to do just before I went live. So gotta watch out for the nose goblins. So sorry about that, guys. Anyway, oh man. So had to do that. Yeah, I had to throw a countdown because I was about to hit my little promo thing, and I was like, I gotta blow the nose. Shoot. Yes. Yeah. The holes are moist. Side note, moist sounds like what it is. Just putting that out there. Just putting that out there. So oh man, thank you very much, guys, for coming back. I wanted to. So I've been writing a catalog of questions that are to be answered by individuals who are part of the science fiction tabletop role playing community and posthumanism and all this stuff. And we talk about it all the time, but I would like to put out there, and mind you, I don't have any answers to this, and I'm sure as we move on forward in the future, we won't have any answers to this. But outside of the tabletop role playing community, these are the very questions that will be asked of people as technology goes on. Now, I feel, this is just my personal opinion, that I feel that there won't be a hard line between humans and non-humans. I think it will be a natural progression, but something that I think we won't see it when we're in it, but you'll see it in hindsight. But I do believe there will come a time where what our definitions are of what is human and what relates to us as humanity starts to shift and turn. So let's get a little bit more specific. Okay, I was about to say a little bit more Pacific. No, a little bit more specific. Yep, sickness is life. That's why posthumans will replace us. Yeah, the doctor's talking to the parents like, well, maybe this kid you might want to tweak stuff so they don't get sick. Yeah, and Enking says, I mean, what does non-human even mean? Now, the question is so open-ended because we have a physical. We can life itself, like what is an organism, what is life. We can have physical, scientific methods of measuring or rules to measure a thing, and then we have humanity. Would your Congress creatures are not human? Yeah, well, yeah. Political seasons, you just like all the non-humans start coming out of the woodworks. Oh man. All the I was about to say the Cro-Mags. No, the lizard people start coming out of the woodworks. They come from their underground tunnels and start putting up posters to please vote for them. But yes, the idea that distracted me. What makes up humanity? So we do have rules for. There are scientific circles that try to define what life is. Like, is it like what is? Let's try. I just thought about what is the definition of life. Okay, real quick wiki search. Life is a quality that distinguishes matter that has biological processes such as signaling and self-sustaining processes from matter that does not, and is defined descriptively by the capacity for homeostasis or organization, metabolism, growth, adaptation, response to stimuli, and reproduction. And I would challenge that you could take that definition and apply it to digital life. Um, and some of it, someone might say, well, metabolism, maybe not. But then there's, we find exceptions to the rule of life in on Earth. So, again, it's like, well, I mean, is that really a definition of life? Because we could have like robots and like um things like that, plastics and such, and all kind of business, like for the physical life. And then when it comes to humanity, what rules would we accept in humanity? I mean, we talk about AI. In posthumanism, there's the idea of uplifting animals and splicing our DNA, altering our DNA, and I think that'd be kind of cool. What is the difference between a live man and a dead man? Bubba Gray, 1961, 2024. Don't know that. Don't know that. Where is that from? Heck, even that quote was used in the Watchmen movie and graphic novel series, that there's no difference between a live person and a dead person or something, or something about the molecules or something. I can't remember the exact quote, but like um, Dr. Manhattan mentions something like that because he's so detached from humanity. And so now you could also claim that a dead person doesn't have electrical stimuli running through their body and they're not growing their cells and things like that. Like you could say that, but I mean, for example, in Obsidian Star, we do have the ferals. They're basically uh, blended DNA spliced together from human and animal, and there's no difference between an animal that's been uplifted to humanity and a human with spliced DNA from animals. It pretty much comes the same thing, but will we accept the behaviors and biology? Here it comes. Sorry, the behaviors and biology from uplifted animals? Would we accept our friends and family having uh, relations with people who have, or animals that have been uplifted or something? And what about their behaviors themselves? Like, what if the behaviors of animals, would we accept that as becoming a human part of human behavior and culture and etiquette in society, like such as I don't know, uh, nakedness and breeding rituals and territorial marking and things like that. I mean, and that's just with uplifted uh, mammals and things of that nature. Even the idea that oh, you wouldn't know this guy unless you're from the '90s rock scene around Jackson, Michigan. Nope, don't know that one. Ah, that's a that's an old cut right there, dude. But the idea that we would how would we integrate AI into humanity? Like at some point, would there be court system that would authorize whether AI is actually human or not? Looking at episodes of Star Trek where that same issue was brought up with Data, and whether Data is part of humanity or not necessarily human, but humanity. And would we embrace, or how would we embrace AI systems? Like, would they just be in computers? Would we tolerate it if they are in robot bodies? And then there, which I says, yeah, side note, seems to jive with the subject at hand. Exactly. Um, also, I've used the term souls, right? Meaning, like, there are people today who feel that there is something that is you you can't measure, but is intrinsically part of the human condition, and that is that humans have a spirit or a soul. Well, if you could copy your brain, all the neural pathways, all of your memories, everything that makes you who you are mentally, and copy it and put in a program, does that running program have a soul? And if given the chance, could that copy of yourself, given mobility and or even in a cloned body of yourself, does that new self also represent you, or is it a copy? Is it deletable? Do you own it if you make a copy of yourself, or by the very nature of copying yourself, have you created yet another member of the humanity, and now they have their own rights and such? And I'm bringing up these questions because a lot of the questions are actually, I think, run parallel to story hooks, right? Like, if someone copied your brain without your knowledge, and then someone is running around who is basically a copy of yourself, um, would you want that other person deleted, or is that somebody you might bond with or something? Yeah, your soul is just some electrical charge going through your brain, especially if you are, if you're not a person who's, you know, agnostic and beyond that point, if you're an atheist, sure, but it's still, maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe the idea or the question that if a if someone's brain is copied, then that other new person is a citizen, and then automatically gets the rights and features of being a citizen. And of course, it gets, posthumanism is scary, because if you're a religious individual, you realize that um, what keeps happening is the technology keeps making us bump up against, well, godhood. Drew says, I do not believe in souls, thus a copy of myself would be an equal to myself, since they would be just a continuation of myself. Now, I could agree with that, but the interstitial period of time between you and the copy of yourself, is there a period of time in which the copy of yourself, um dare I say, hasn't given birth yet? So let's make a hypothetical. A criminal organization or a government or something has a device, and they use this device while you're sleeping or captured or whatever. You're on a mission, you're on a starship, whatever, and they capture you. They make a copy of yourself, and it is right now on a thumb drive. It's on a here we go. It's on a 1 terabyte hard drive. It's on a zipper, and it's in someone's pocket. Is that the moment that that individual exists, or is it until the person is plugged into a computer system and given voice and identity, like it knows what it is, and it's not just compacted information? Or do we wait until that mind is in a physical body? I don't know. Yeah, so your soul is easy to copy onto a data medium, such as a cortical stack. Maybe some would say yes, some would say no. Maybe there's, or is there an identifier that says this is the original, this is the copy? Copies should be deleted. I could see that being a problem, especially with a narcissist as well. If they, especially if you really love yourself and you keep making copies of yourself for various reasons, or maybe very powerful or rich or influential individuals know that they can get more things done if they make more copies of themselves, and their copies start running around, and then their copies start diverging off of the original. Yeah. Uh, okay. In homage to several recently departed friends who were somewhat spiritual, I will refrain from talking about how the soul is a figment of the imagination. Maybe. Now, you could also make the case that every it doesn't matter how many brains you copy, each one becomes um individual simply by their existence. So for example, we seem to accept the fact that our experiences make who we are. So a copy standing next to you 3 feet away from you has a different experience than where you're standing. So, every interaction, every meal eaten, every time they sleep or talk or feel something, that makes us who we are. So a copy of yourself would eventually become very unique, I believe. Yeah, Drew says, since I believe the mind is the only process of the brain, thus, if is raw data, then it is not a person. The moment my copy starts thinking, it becomes a person. Yeah, I wonder. Yeah. Because, like, if okay, what would be the difference? if you what's the opposite of extracting data? Basically when you zip data, if it's not thinking, is it just pure data? But when you unzip the brain so it can think, yeah. But my soul brothers must surely have a soul. Yeah, I hear you, Motown. Yeah, exactly. um, okay, so get it. Not to get too. Yes, I meant to get deep into the philosophicals of what is the soul and how does that how do we accept that process? I mean, technology doesn't necessarily mean it will eradicate our desire that we would still believe in some type of um, soul or extra dimensional impact or like karma and things of that nature. But if we move on, let's move on to some other questions here. Um, the question of genetic um, genetic viability and association and such. So there's an old television show, and none of you have ever watched this television show. It lasted one season, I believe it was maybe 6 to 8 episodes, and it's probably put on. I don't even think you could find it. I think it was called Century City, and Century City TV. Yep, Century City TV series, and the Century City TV series was kind of a one of the this was back in 2004, and it took the series is set in Los Angeles in the year 2030. Let's see if I was going to describe it, but let's see what it says. Um, the show follows the legal team of Crane, Constable, McNeil, and Montero, which is a horrible name for uh, a legal team for television, although probably in reality it was cool. But anyway, at the helm are the firm's 4 partners: the founder and senior partner Hannah Crane, um, the pleased with himself attorney Darwin, and former California Congressman newest partner Tom Montero. The team is supplemented by ambitious enthusiasm of 2 young associates. And then with the development of cloning cells, genetic proliferation, mind-altering antibiotics, and even virtual rape, the attorneys of Crane, Constable, McNeil, and Montero find themselves with an ongoing caseload of precedent-setting cases. In a time when lawyers can go before judges as holograms, the firm takes on such morally and ethically ambiguous cases as parents suing their doctor for withholding critical results of their unborn child's genetic mapping, defending a man accused of robbery for stealing back his identity from his ex-fiancée, who has uploaded his presence and personality, protecting the rights of a woman who has been virtually raped through nanotechnology, and trying to enforce a contract on a rock star who refused to take a risky anti-aging treatment to help his band stay on top. In the year 2030, the United States has 52 states and universal health care. Oprah Winfrey is the president of the United States. Her vice president is an openly gay, retired, one-armed, 4-star U.S. Armed Forces general, and the moon has been colonized. Ooh, I don't even want to read that. Oof, I don't even want to read that last line. But the point I'm making about that television show, which is a show that you guys haven't seen, yeah, Stray says, yeah, you're right indeed. I've never heard of Century City. 2004. That was after I stopped watching television. Okay, but the point of the show was a post-human legal drama 2030 about new technologies having effects on humanity. And what I loved about that show, despite the fact it didn't progress because of low ratings, of course it was canceled because of low ratings. That's why you cancel shows, more or less. But yeah, Drew's like Oprah Winfrey, Oprah's president, neat. Yeah. The point of the show was that it did deal with the idea of like, hey, if someone can, 2 people who are in a relationship split up, and one guy's like, hey, wait a minute, my ex-fiance has is running a program based on all of my behaviors, basically mimicking me, then can I get that back? Or what would do did we do the other day? Oh, you read or see information, and someone says that information is my property, so I want to redact it out of your brain because my book series, you read my book series or watch my television show, but due to not contract negotiations, it belongs to me, and people are stealing it, i.e., being inspired by it. Could that be a thing as well? And there's a lot of bits and pieces of technology that, of course, we can go down super dark pathways, right? Like virtual realities. There's always there's always the our grade school imagery of what the holodeck would look like in Star Trek. There was always the bottom crew that has to walk in with the hazmat suits and the bleach spraying things, like to spray the holodeck down, because we know what people would do in there. Which the television show Orville actually deals with that. And we've brought up, VR addiction, virtual reality addiction, or heck, just taking something and plugging it into the pleasure center, directly pleasure center of your brain, might even, it might just be some formless joy that's so addictive that you never want to unplug yourself. Yeah, so might as well find out at a time, so you can party harder with impunity. Yep. Um, Ever heard about, quote, the right not to know regarding results of genetic analysis that says you're going to get some horrible um, heritable disease? Yep, something through your heritage or something. And there's a pretty dark scene, very short, less than 30 seconds, in the movie Gattaca, where the parents have kids. They have two boys, and their first boy is natural born. He's a Nat, N-A-T, or it could be G-N-A-T, but they have one. The second child is born, and the doctor and nurse start going over all the percentage propensities for their child to have these problems. 38% chance of heart disease, death by age 33, and going through all that. And on one hand, we want to know about our medical histories, right? We go to the doctors. Doc, tell it to me straight, right? That's the whole big thing. Don't make promises, tell it to me straight. And a lot of medical shows are given that. But what if there's information that you really don't want to know about? For example, many people today are suffer stresses because some kind of affliction or disease runs throughout their genetic history from their family. Now, is there a chance they will never ever suffer from this thing? Sure, but there's a chance they could. And some people, there are even doctors that have insisted that, for example, there are some kind of cancers, and that they treat the cancers, like breast cancer for women that have mastectomies, simply because it runs in a family, and that could alter your history. Sorry, that could alter your future when you go back and look at your history, to be worried about something that you may not ever um, suffer from. But yeah, and people could use that information to keep you from going certain places and doing certain things. Do it. Yeah. Yeah, it might be better to know if it's Alzheimer's, so you can write your memoirs before you forget everything. I wonder how, with mind uploading, I wonder if there's a period of time, like, would you also, if someone has the genetic disposition for Alzheimer's, would that continue into a copy of the brain? I would think not, maybe. I don't know. I don't think it would. Or if someone is suffering from it and you copy their brain, would it continue onto the new brain and then start to grow from the new brain? Or could you just delete it out and replace it with other things or something? That would be very interesting, especially individuals that are uh uh as time moves on, and practical effective immortality becomes a real thing, where by 76 this individual basically starts recopying their brain and deleting their old self through a continuing like avoidance of the downfall as we start to age. And I wonder if that could be something built into technology, not built in, but something they can't avoid, that over time you'll have to keep having more and more conditions. Like, for example, a person turns 76, they copy their brain goes for 50 years, and they copy their brain again, but now it only goes for 35 years, and they copy their brain again, and then it goes for like 20 years. And it could be like maybe there's something intrinsic in the human brain itself, not genetically, not the physical parts, but the processes or something. I don't know. That I think that would be a good story element. I think technologically we would probably want to get rid of that real quick, right? But listen, any medicine is life extension anyway. So excuse me. So the fact of people living and becoming immortal is just a matter of us having medicine that takes us past the point at which we would pass away. So the more medicines that take us past the point in which we would pass away gives us more options for immortality. There's also the questions of ethics and morality when it comes to life extension. For example, there are some political and corporate positions and governmental positions that currently are forever. The only limitation is a person's age. Would we accept the fact, like a CEO or here in the United States, our Supreme Court, would we even want to have individuals in a position of power that will not age out, right? So, for example, we do have some politicians, and we know, we get frustrated with politicians that are political lifers. They basically go into politics, and everything they do is, half of it is pretending to do stuff. The other half is getting money to continue to do the other half, which is pretending to do stuff. At a certain point, yeah. Yeah, sorry. Yeah, shitlord says, "Oh man, term limits. You just nuked the thread." Yeah, term limits. I mean, we might have to have term limits on things we never thought about. Life sentences. If someone's convicted of a crime, will we rethink what a life sentence is? Will a life? Yes, practically. In reality, life sentences do have a terminating limit. Like, sometimes we think of life sentences as being like, 30 years, because sometimes we'll say 20 to 30 years or life. Will we have term limits for running a corporation? Will we have term limits for being part of society? And I don't mean Logan's Run termination of out of society, but that at a certain point you get to a certain age where we may have a new position we come up with a new social position in life to have people leave life. Like, maybe it's like, hey, I've reached 150. I'm on my walkabout. I'm trying to steal something from that's relatable. Hey, from 150 on, there's a 50-year period where people just go on a walkabout. They're automatically citizens of the world, and they travel, and they're not responsible for certain things, or they become literal ROAD scholars and such. Mike Mayer says, I wouldn't mind if I had a doctor who was 300 years old, as long as he gets memory wipe every 50 years to gain new perspectives. You know what? Wow, what a weird, awesome, sweet concisement of information, right? Because if I live 300 years, will I be the same? And if I am the same, is that bad? Or like you said, 300-year doctor, but every 50 years gets a mind wipe, and they kind of have like a database of all the old medicines, but they have a new perspective every 50 years. I mean, even today, let's think about it today. The reason why we hate even the best politicians that we know, lifer politicians, is because they tend not to get new perspectives. When we get older, I mean, I feel myself fall into these categories myself. When we get older, we kind of feel comfortable sitting in our own little crevice, right? We don't really like to poke our heads out the silo and look around at new perspectives of people living and things like that. Well, I kind of consider myself to be pretty fluid, but there are many people, especially, there's the idea of people that you when you get older, you get more conservative. And is that just because our mortality, we can measure our mortality because we're getting closer to that horizon, or would that disappear? Like, would people just become uh crazy uh adolescent, knowing, like, could someone live through their adolescent period for 100 years knowing they have 1,000 years or more to go? I don't know. Yeah, having a reason to care about the future, a good argument for term limits. Unless you get the opposite, there's people who like turtle up and they want to eliminate every threat around them because they want to protect what they are and who they are and where they are. Ooh, that sounds, that honestly, like, the term limit conversation that we just had right now sounds like something very lethal. That sounds like something that could very easily get pushed into um, terrorist style repercussions, where you have the younger or more alterable faction of people that's like, hey, listen, we need churn, we need this. It's not that we don't want you back into, say, politics or business or society, but we need our society to churn, to grow. And the only way to do that, like like keeping a field healthy, we have to churn that soil, and we may need to churn the soil of society. And some people already at the top are like the vampire series, the underworld vampire series. The vampires are like, I'm not going back into into a crypt. I'm awake now. I got shit to do. Shai says having children should be a prerequisite for political office. Makes it less likely for them to fuck up the future on purpose. Yes. What is the there is a American native, seven generations, seven. Uh, yes, seven. It's a seven generation. I'm trying to find a quote. Uh, what is the seventh generation principle? But I want to quote it from. This is from Indigenous Corporate Training. Duh, duh, duh. The seventh generation principle is based on an ancient. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of this. Iroquois philosophy that the decisions we make today should result in a sustainable world 7 generations into the future. This extremely prescient philosophy is currently somewhat overused as a green marketing ploy to sell everything from dish soap to cars. The first recorded concepts of the seventh generation principle date back to the writing of the Great Law of Haudenosaunee Confederacy, although the actual date is undetermined. Range of conjectures places writing anywhere from 1142 to 1500 AD. But yes, but that is another version, a different version. Same thing though, right? Like having kids might be important for a society so that we as humanity are like, okay, I know I got all these selfish decisions, but what about them? What about the pod? What about the people? Yeah. Ju says, like I said, our mind is a process, and thus the person you are tomorrow is not the person you are today. We are always in progress. There are some philosophy people that feel like when we sleep, our old self dies and our new self rises again. Um, yeah, very, very, very philosophical and thinking about the future. I mean, when we think about colonizing other places, like today we think about colonizing Mars, and in Obsidian Star, nearly all the planets are colonized, including their orbits and things of that. Colonizing and inhabiting, not necessarily living on the surface of a gas giant, but you understand what I mean. And if you have an enclosed space like that, it might be necessary, or there might even be a policy that says, hey, listen, this hab can hold 100,000 people. We go over 100,000, we're going to have to tell people to leave. We've got 18 people. We need volunteers to leave. That may, I mean, it may literally be we need to churn out 20% of our population to get new people in. Sorry, bottom 20%, you got to go. Or it could be a voluntary mechanism of, hey, we've lived here so long, but we now have to leave for the new generation to rise up with us. Yeah, I don't know. Ayahuasca rituals should be a requirement for office, so politicians will know the truth about our reptilian overlords. Yeah, heck yeah, maybe there is a you want to go into politics. We get to decipher your brain waves or your downloaded brain or something. Like we get to put it through a VR system or whatever. That would be interesting, almost like a not a game show, but like a survival. You're the politicians are put into a VR world designed to test their resolves and their morality and their ethics, and maybe they're confronted with these trolley problem type of things, but they have to live through it. That would be interesting to like, and that might be on public televisions. Maybe that's the thing that certain habitats use, like these watchable VR game shows where important individuals are put through the tests of historical moments or artificial moments that are pre-programmed to test a person's resolve. And that would be kind of interesting. Yeah, Drew's like, the overpopulation problem will become Soylent Green. That is a 7th-generation solution right there. Soylent Green Part 2. They said they changed the formula, but it's still made out of people, right? With less sugar. I don't know. Politicians with kids less likely to fuck everything up. Does that have any bearing on reality? Think about that for a minute. You're right. We have how many cover-ups for how many politicians have had to cover up the behavior of their kids? Yeah, that would be, well, story hook right there, right? Like, yeah. Neuroplasticity, the ever-changing mind. Why is every day so much like the last one then? I wonder. I do wonder. Maybe each day is different. Maybe we're just perceiving it as the same. And a lot of times, there is the idea that the more the same our days are, the more they flow together, which makes it seem like time is shorter. But when we're younger, every time we encounter something new, it feels like the days are longer. It's just so I don't know. Maybe it's just a perceptive thing. Um, maybe neuroplasticity is a actionable, measurable trait that humanity has in this future, and it is incumbent upon people to go into the doctor's office or the psychological tailor, the weaver's office, or something like that to ensure their neuroplasticity remains. That would be that actually sounds like a really cool game effect, right? Like, oh no, you don't have to like eat food and drink water or sleep, but you sure do have to go in for your neuroplasticity test, right? To ensure that you have the flexibility in your mind. And if you don't, as a character, maybe you start falling into the same tropes and traps and things like that. That sounds like a perfectly good gaming, what would you call long-term gaming downslide for a character that has gone through so many of these like high energy, very traumatic travel log going around the solar system, and eventually maybe their brain just starts to not shut down, but refuses to accept new things. That you're just like, nope, I just want to sit right here. But we've got this mission to stop the nanotech from script, and they're just like, nope, I'm going to stay right here. Yeah, but sticking to Obsidian now, can't the answer only be yes? I mean, you've got the Nats and the Cro-Mags where they're automatically handicapped. Every other character class is superior to them. Won't the Nats and Cro-Mags have less baggage though? Right. So there it you guys are correct on two different levels. So there is a natural handicapping going on with certain groups, like the Cro-Mags and the Docent and the Nats are they're they're behind, right? They are suffering from technologies against their will. A gnat is born, and when a gnat's born, they don't get the benefits of having, like, perfect vision. And when they eat their food, they digest and use 95% of the food products, so they only shit once a week. The people who are modified, or all those kind of things, right? Maybe gnats need more sleep than posthumans or things of that nature. So yeah, they're behind. Same thing with the Cro-Mags, are actually created to be an enslaved race for physical labor, and the Docent are basically enslaved with mental labor and such. So that the answer to that is yes. But I would also say that part of their strengths would be that most of them are going to be underestimated. That's just going to be a natural. No one's going to expect the Cro-Mags to be brilliant or independent, or um, they're not going to get looked at to be the heads of criminal organizations, or to be hackers and be brilliant. But so part of that is a benefit to them. And also, how do I explain this? Let's be honest, some of us in the tabletop role-playing community, we like underdogs. We like, there's a reason why Dragonborn and Tieflings are like in the top 5 of the races picked for Dungeons and Dragons, right? And it's not just being edgelords. Sometimes people want to be different, and they want to be those individuals that are like, yeah, I'm breaking out of the norm. I'm not like everybody else. So I think it scratches that itch. Now, in a high-tech society, though, it might, there are technologies that kind of can keep people down. We already talked about Shitlords already mentioned the fact that there's a lot of technology to let totalitarian governments control people by what they see, what they hear. I don't know, bug zapping them, or electrocollaring people when they have certain thoughts in their heads and things like that. Drew says, I think those drawbacks are exactly what draws me to those beings, since it is a great springboard for storytelling and character arcs. Right, exactly. And I think there's I want to include this air quotes problematic development in the game, because I think there's something in us that wants to, like, there's something in us that wants to raise our middle fingers up to the man, right? Like, to just like raise a fist in the air, like, F you mothers. One of my favorite movies is Whiplash, and it has the movie Whiplash, about a drummer, a young student drummer who is psychologically basically threatened and tortured and abused by his teacher, who only wants to see the greatest rendition of music ever done. And his obsession with breaking people down and ruining the I'll dare say the spirit, the willpower of his students, just to have that thing. Shitlord says, that's not very problematic. Yes, it is. Oh, thank you very much, Shitlords. But to be honest with you, I think there's something intrinsic in us, in many of us, to want to root for that person that's at the bottom, that's held back, that's got the weight, the shackles on them, and then breaks out of those norms. And so, yeah, Drew says, or the zeros. Sure, some people will play their loner assassin with them, but I would play up the tragedy of their existence. Exactly. I mean, unfortunately, like the zeros, honestly, nobody knows or cares if they live or die. That's, in a way, I kind of related zeros to the idea of people who don't have a voice, and and it's kind of reflection on me, right? My empathy for humanity has limits, and I feel bad that my empathy has limits, because I would love to feel empathy for everyone around the world and all the things that happen to them, but I don't know or see them. right? And I don't know or see those individuals. And while I can say, hey, listen, you can't. I, can I really be empathic with everyone? Maybe I would just curl up in a ball and feel like I couldn't do anything. But it is unfortunate that I can't feel for everyone, because there's always people suffering everywhere, right? And zeros are kind of like that. They're kind of like they're the ones who, they try to have a voice and they can't have a voice just simply because there's no data for them, and which is crazy. But I like it. Shai says, indeed, playing a character with an intrinsic handicap is one of, Woodwild's golden rules. Yeah, for those who don't know, he's still around too. He still got his channel up. But yeah, playing up a handicap, using a handicap as strength, as a strength, however the person is using the verb handicapped, how they are held back or something. And I think sometimes yeah, 3d6 straight down the line, and that's a jack to you. Anything like that in Obsidian? Technically, no. Because characters begin at a pretty high level. So nothing like rolling. I guess you could roll dice, but it's not exactly the same thing, though. I'll consider something like that. I'll consider a variation on that. Also, since we're talking about humanity and society and things like that, these are some other questions that came up with in terms of genetics, right? If we could alter our genetics mechanically, and then we get to the point where we can't breed with each other, will we all be part of humanity, even though we couldn't? Like, maybe gnats are so far different from Cro-Mags and these other people, the verdant are, half man, half plant. I don't really see too many genetic connections between the two, although technology probably would say we could make a genetic match. But do we consider someone human if we can breed with each other, or is it just, could we fall in love with each other? And heck, in Black Mirror, there were two guys that fell for each other in their virtual world, and one was, anyway. We may have new family connections. We may have new societal connections with people. We may have, dare I say, elite individuals. Some people were like, listen, you're lesser than us because we can't even breed with you. You're so lesser. We're from tomorrow. You're from yesterday. Don't bother with us, right? Yeah, can we fall in love with each other? Of course we can. Well, okay. There's the romance of it, the higher level. Can we fall in love with each other? Then there's the other, like, can we bump nasties with each other? The answer to that is it's already happening with plastic as it is today. So it wouldn't be that much of a stretch, right? Yeah, Black Mirror, the only TV show I can conceive of actually watching these days. Black Mirror, overall, it's been hit and miss. I want to say it's a good 75% good episodes. There's a couple of like fall flat stinkers to me in Black Mirror. Yeah. Drew says, are the zeros even included in the trillion souls count? I would say no. If I had to put my finger on it, I would say no. I would say that we probably, living in that world, I don't believe there's anyone who knows how many zeros exist. So yeah. I don't think it would be an account. That's a good question. I like that. That's awesome. Yeah. Surely they will have cerebral enhancements to prevent love in the 21st century. Well, there may be a new propensity for arranged marriages or variations of arranged marriage, right? Like maybe arranged breeding or arranged couplings or arranged family units. And that could be done by behavior. That could be done by simple pie in the sky neural pathways. That could be done by genetic predispositions, things like that. Like, hey, hey, you 5 individuals that live in this, 1,000 person space station, the 5 of you are have been chosen to mix your DNA with offspring. Uh, you have 3 months to figure it out, right? Like it might be something. Yeah, are you kidding? People won't need to breed, right? You're absolutely correct, right? You don't. The choice to breed would probably be the opposite of what, not the opposite. Like today, there are countries that we are showing population downslides, and so breeding might be something that might be enforced, or there might be a coalition of, this is, oh god, I don't know another word to say, a coalition of exo-womb breeders that go around to help society continue having children, like I don't know, like a mobile child care process guild or something. Maybe that would be strange and cool, like a nomadic group of scientists and nursemaids and all the above from ancient day till now, and their whole concept is to literally remind people that, hey, remember back in the day when we had kids? Maybe you should start doing that. And maybe they help those communities raise them and give birth to them and remind them and stuff, because people could just get lost in their own worlds or something. Yeah. So if you choose to breed, wouldn't you be socially ostracized for creating gnats? Wow, I like that. Yeah. Yeah. Maybe there's like a strange underground of like gnat births, like people who want to do this, but they don't want to say it out loud because they'll be ostracized. That would be awesome. Maybe there's maybe there okay. Um there may they may be born, but they also don't have to be gnats at all. So the far future, humanity is largely just Lord of the Rings elves? Maybe. Maybe. Yeah, we could throw the ring in the help put the ring into the thing, but we got to go. Yeah, yeah, ring, volcanoes, yeah, whatever. I mean, it's time for us to go. See ya. I can already see people complaining about the Cro-Mags stealing jobs and being lazy. Yep. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's hilarious. Creating untouchables on purpose. Now that's problematic. Oh shit, creating untouchables on purpose. Wow. Mike's like Cro-Mags? Yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. Um, I'll go get it. The Yeah, because we're at the end here, and so I'll share this out. What everyone's talking about are something I call jackets, and jackets are your body. Your zipper is your mind. Your jacket is your body. That's your physical body, and those jackets fall into categories. Now, player characters will switch jackets all the time. That's just what they do because they're PCs, right? But um, but the jacket is related to a social construct of sorts. And that social construct, even player characters that choose to switch jacket to jacket will get pulled into the push and pull of being part of those jackets. This is, by the way, M squared. This is the character sheet or a version of it. I'm still like, there's something about it. I've started to modify it slightly, but this is basically the character sheet. It's a 2d12 system. Um, pick you have attributes and you have 3 approaches, and you roll 2d12. You want to roll high but not over. This drive, I'm thinking about modifying that. I'm still mulling it over. Pretty much this is I'm thinking about doing some other things here. um I don't This looks a little too busy to me. um that Characters could pick a focus for I don't want to say special ability, a focus of their will, so that they can do like extraordinary things, like a hero point or a fate point, spending stress, things like that. But I don't know if I'm going to do that. But anyway, let's move on down to the jackets. Here's an example. Sorry, guys. Here's an example of a one pager I was doing for, if you can see this, a one pager for the rules of the game. So this describes your attributes. So you have a force attribute, flex attribute, and a fulcrum attribute, and it just tells you what it's about. Like trying to get the rules down as tight as possible. So like force, you can see force here has a big old hammer. Flex has a like a balance here, and fulcrum has what is that? A compass? No, I forget what it's called. But anyway, that's an example of like of the Morkborgian layout of doing. But anyway, okay. Let's go ahead. Yeah, those are cute, aren't they? Trying to come up with an AI oracle. There's some solo games that have like an oracle part of it, and you could roll a d12 to kind of check the oracle. Like, hey, does this habitat have a black market underworld or something? And you could go to the oracle. Yes, you roll a 1. Yes, and or you roll a 4 to 6. Yes, but that kind of thing. So, and the propensity is to roll on a 1d12 to either get yes but or no but answer. But anyway, here we go. Chromax. By the way, to let everybody know, this is AI art, so don't get it twisted. It is AI art. So Cro-Mags are genetically created to be enslaved. Modern man, not DBJ. Thanks, DBJ, that you gave us a show despite your moist holes today. It's still moist there. It's still you're gonna have to reach back deep in the hole to get to the moisture because I can kind of feel it back in the back of my throat. But yeah, Drew. I mean, you could reach back there, Drew, if you need to. My hole is moist, and there was an older commercial. It says something like there's a party in my mouth and you're all invited. I think it was like Doritos or something. They quickly took it off the air, but these are the Irani. They are the little definition of gender fluidity. I call them the Aji, but that's do I really know how it's pronounced? But anyway, they're artificial general intelligence. The big difference between them and a plain old autonomous robot is that they have faces that produce micro they have micro movement in their features like a human being would. So they, no matter what their bodies look like, they have removed the uncanny valley that machines have in their faces. Physically, that's what they look like. And there's only 64 of them that walk around, and you play one of the 64. There's more than that, but there's any of them. Metallum, the AI art couldn't really get people that are made out of that are copper or silicone based life forms, but this is the closest I could get. I'll try to mess with it. Let's see. Anybody remember the ghost moth from before? It's not mineral life. I haven't changed it around yet. It's actually more digital life. And if you can see in the background here, which is actually blurring out this white, which I might have to change this image. There's a moth. There's a death's head moth right in the background here. That was brought up before. And the idea is that this is a person who has who, for whatever reason, is just a digital life form. I like that. The creche, based off the word, I believe it's spelled CR. Yes, CRECHE. Um, a model in the CRECHE definition is either a model or tableau representing the scene of Jesus' birth displayed in homes or public places at Christmas, or a nursery where babies and young children are cared for during the working day. And I specifically took that word, the creche, meaning that they are like birthed from their clone society. Um, so, yep, kind of cool. You want to talk about socialism and cooperativism? That's what they are. The Novus are humans 2.0, basically rebuilt for space. So zero gravity adapted, low light adapted, darker like black, purple, midnight skin to get that to be resistant to that radiation, UV radiation and things like that. Yeah, bigger craniums, that kind of thing. Boop, 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 human 2.0. Here's the feral. The feral are humans spliced with animal or animals spliced with humans, uplifted. No difference between the two, which is also makes it a little bit like not problematic. A little. They are also a retro styled choice. Like where do they fit into society if they do? And if you are one of the feral, do you try to mimic mostly human behaviors? Do you are your animalistic is your animalistic nature a feature of a society? Like, is it a choice or is it instinctual? And then how do people react to that? And then are you a pet? Are you owned? The docent again are another. They are enslaved due to their psychological or sorry, their intellectual labor, not necessarily they're more social intellectual labor than their physical labor. Um, and they ride the space between the Cro-Mags and humanity. So they're treated very well, but they're still property. So, it um is C3PO any different than as an etiquette robot and being used for his purposes than a utility drone that's digging in the dirt or something like that, right? So, and I gotta go back and change because I copy pasted a lot of this. I don't like this word craniac. They used to be called the intellites. Basically, these are people who have overclocked their brains and forgotten the rest of their bodies. These people are just intellectuals that have enhanced their intelligences through nanotechnology and drug enhancement and meditation and all the above. And the zenith are kind of the opposite. These are the beautiful, physically perfect people. They're at the top of the game. The name Zenith, of course, paragons of humanity, and things like that. Now, mind you, paragon of humanity in what definition, right? Martians are their own thing because they can breathe the thin atmosphere, survive in the cold, survive out in the harshnesses of the expanses of Mars, and so they have become their own genetic genetic part of the tree. The Lunarians. Damn, I can't see what you guys are saying. Yeah, we already have faces that produce microbes. Wow. Mike's like, neat. Yay, yay, Silence of the Lambs. That's so bad. I don't know how bad we want to do that. Lunarians are the original genetic children that have lived on the moon when humanity first got to the moon. So they're kind of like the oldest genetic background, very tall, very lean, and they are considered like the best way to consider them today are like supermodels because having a Lunarian on your arm is a status symbol. They're like the old family, the old generation. People don't need to have that live in space, don't need to suffer from the afflictions of living in space as much anymore, but there are some people who still do. Um, the adren, or it's a shortened form of adrenaline. Man, I'm stuttering so much. I apologize. The adren are like a people who have mastered their inner selves, their adrenal system, their sleep patterns, their healing factors, their pain resistance, uh, their heart rate, blood flow, um, that kind of thing. And so, yeah, mastery of mind and body, but detached from the real world, now, real and now, and such. The verdant are human plant hybrids. They produce oxygen. They're able to hibernate themselves. And the idea of this is also a bit of a social experiment in terms of being able to seed other worlds, to become comfortable in this kind of body or life or what have you. Um, longer lives, thoughts for the long future, and that kind of thing, spreading their seed, their genes. Uh, the neuroforge are people who buy, sell, trade, and alter their memories and their minds and skill set with others, to gain an easy edge over other people. Hey, need a brain surgeon? I got a chip for that. Need a sniper? I don't have one, but I can go find one if you need one. Hey, you need someone to help you in your diplomatic envoy thing, and you need a great public speaker. I can do that. People might not want to see what I look like, but I can do that as well. So that's what the neuroforge are. They buy, sell, and trade the good and bad of memories. The genomancers, I put that little dash in there. I left it in there. Are diseased individuals. They're like ghoulish kind of, and their bodies are falling apart and they are ostracized, but they have control over their body's growths and things of that nature. They can produce diseases and poisons and extra limbs and detach the eye from their eyeball and stuff. Autons are basically artificial humans, artificial robots. They can come in different shapes and sizes, and you don't necessarily need to play one that is a sentient AI. You can be non-sentient. If you choose to be non-sentient, you're probably immune. You can also choose to be immune to like psychic influence, but if you are sentient, then you are vulnerable to like psychic influence. But you may also be vulnerable to being hacked as a player character too. So, yep. Nanomages are people who basically delve into nanotechnology, and people don't like them because you don't want that stuff hanging around. When and where can we get access to this PDF? I will give that to you in just a minute. Supermodels with toothpick legs. Yeah, I know. I know. I was thinking the same thing, and I was like, Lenarians have creepy smiles, though. I agree with you there. Yes, and weak legs. Yes, yep. Creepy smiles and weak legs. I agree with all the above. Because I actually said, I was like, oh, and give them smiles, like make them happy or something. And it was just like kind of weird, which I like, right? Like, are those smiles pasted on their faces? I don't know. Being born in any low gravity environment is going to be a mighty handicap to have fun with. Yep. But physical handicaps don't matter because you can just switch jackets. Yes, exactly. And the question remains. So let me flip to another one, since I'm going to let this sit here for just 2 seconds. Star Knights. I didn't have a good name for them. I wanted some kind of like power armored people. I think this is the end. Nope, zeros. So okay, this is a good. This is a very good thing. So you can see the zeros here. These are the ones that are in like the kind of orangish brown khaki colors, and then you see there's like robots, kind of faceless people in the background, and zeros are, strangely enough, people who have a viral disease, an electronic viral disease that starts to delete their information from all digital sources. So over time, their digital footprint starts to delete, and it is contagious. So not only will it start to delete, like they will just become fuzzy, it'll actually start to erase. And zeros are actually kind of in the bottom of the barrel because because they don't have a digital presence, they're often abused, and they are see, even here, like I put artificial intelligence, which is not exactly what they are. But anyway, the idea of being able to switch into different jackets means that players can appropriate other the other physical situations that other jackets live in, and players can dip and dive into that and not necessarily suffer the hardships that people who are permanently in that position have, which also itself brings up an issue of is it okay to appropriate someone else's life even temporarily? And if you're doing it, is it for a good reason? Is it for a bad reason? Is it for is it, is it for a good, are you doing it out of a necessity? Are you doing it just to have fun and you're just trolling, or you're a visitor? Are you a poser and that kind of thing? So players, when they pick their jackets, it may not just be the mission that's important to them. It may also be, you're not really one of us, are you? Right? Or maybe a player is like, you know what? I actually feel for who and what you are. And this is a stand-in for walking in someone else's shoes, right? Your player may have no idea. They don't even care. They're like, I want to be a badass assassin who's all digital information. Like you said, Drew, like I'll be a badass assassin where every time I go on a mission, they always forget who I am. But the other zeros are like, you're making it kind of bad for us. I know you think you're a badass assassin, but the rest of us got to live with the fact that someone committed murders in the space habitat, and now they're blaming us for it, right? So, yeah, the jacket you choose could have other shitlords, like you said. Physical handicaps don't matter because you can just switch jackets, but maybe there's some social handicapping as well that's going on, in the sense of the body you're in could have long-term effects, even though the players are using short-term they're on short-term missions, which in and of itself could make a really great orbit as part of the game, right? Now, look, I gotta put someone asked for something, so I'm gonna put this in here. Let me go get the code. Anyone with the link can view. So let me copy link. Here we go. There we go. Someone click that and let me know if that's a good link, just to make sure. Sorry. I think this is the end of the thing. Yep, that's the end of it. So, but anyway, this document is growing and growing, and there you go. Cool. And just let me know in the chat. I see someone popped in there, so there we go. Yep. And I don't know if I can. I would like to let you guys put in. I don't want to allow people to edit it, but I do want people to be able to put in comments. There we go. Can comment. There it is. All right, I changed it. So you can put in comments. And if you want to comment, you have to, there's the little add comment thing here. So you could add in comments like, hey, I think this should be changed. Now, mind you, I'm letting you know right up front that this the date on this 2/20/24 is today's date, because I altered some things. So the documents, I guess it would be, I should put 0.2. So it's until this becomes a 1, it's not finished yet. So there is a lot of copy and paste, but I've been doing it live. So, well, I do stuff behind the scenes as well. But let me move up to something else that I wanted to show. Here's the digital life, the ghost. I don't know if they're going to be still called ghost moths, but I like the idea that there's just ghosts. I think just plain old ghost would fit in here, but I like the idea of like of the what I think it was Drew that brought it up with there has to be a way to identify shit. Maybe I'll do a Yeah. I should go. Anyway, my brain is working, and that's bad. I went too long. These are the rat cat bats that people have as pets in space. Look kind of cool. Remember, these are some plates I've been working on just to get some ideas here. Mercury, and this is just like a placeholder because I put in a subheading and things like that, and do these like I keep calling them one pagers because I just want it to be like a one page that you guys could take. I don't know, because you can only view. I don't know if you could copy a page as an image and share it. So what I may have to do is export a single page, like export a single one of these, and then take it and turn it into like a JPEG, or what's the other one, PNG, or something like that. Not certain how that's going to work, but this is just an example of something. I don't know how good it works, but so here's what it looks like in totality, the system, and just an example of like our solar system and stuff, and just getting some layout issues. I think I don't like the font that it's in. It doesn't. It's I don't know. But anyway, but it also gives. I want to do, like, I don't want people to have to read like 50 pages to figure out what the world is about. So some of these one pagers are like, oh, where does this take place, and then you could read it. Or, hey, what's Mars like, or what is Earth, Terra like, what is the moon or Luna like. So these could be places. And the same thing for the jacket things. Hey, just one page that tells you what they're about, who they are, and things like that. So sorry, went backwards a little bit. Yep, seems to be the same you shared before that I have bookmarked. Okay, perfect. Okay. Yeah, now you've got your intellectual property. Yep. Good links. Perfect. Good. I wonder if the little demon's head will show up. Yay, it showed up. I do the edition number for my system similar. At the moment, I am on 0.71a. Yeah. I learned that. I didn't realize that, but I learned that. Why am I a given? With the A being an indicator for the alpha testing status. That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Maybe I'll do that. There we go. An A added to it. Perfect. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for allowing me to share this with you guys. Thank you very much for allowing me to go this long. I didn't expect to do this. But yeah, this is kind of fun, a fun exercise. Yeah, Obsidian Star is a post-human science fiction tabletop role-playing game set within our solar system, from the corona of the sun to the Kuiper Belt and beyond. Guys, have a great one. Thank you very much for being part of the show. Thank you very much for tolerating me. And I've got to take something pretty soon. So, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later. Peace and tranquility. See you tomorrow.